But no, seriously, what are the benefits? Are there broad benefits other than being leaner, which is what he's concerned about? What is the benefit of cardio?
Yeah, so the long-term health benefits of increasing cardiorespiratory fitness would be, these are the biggest ones, I would say. Reduction in all-cause mortality, reduction in cardiovascular disease risk, so stroke and heart attack, reduction in the risk of obesity and obesity-related diseases.
Makes sense.
And also the reduction in cognitive decline. So there's some overlap with these. Yeah, there's some overlap with these benefits with resistance training and cardio. But yeah, those are some of the biggest ones. Often not big enough to drive behavior change in somebody. You know, it doesn't always help to just say, hey, these are the facts. Why aren't you doing it?
Yeah.
But again, these cannot be more glaring. You know, these are huge and should play a role in, you know, giving you the why to partake.
Because there are, I mean, I see headlines all the time about big numbers, 74% lower risk of type 2 diabetes. Mm-hmm. How much of that is because of the running and how much of that is just because of, you know, better lifestyle management and all those things that go along with somebody who actually runs. Mm-hmm. It's hard to kind of tie those things down, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when doing that kind of stuff, they certainly try to account for confounders, but you're right. It's you know, it's often hard to perfectly, neatly parse out the, you know, the silver bullet in that case. But yes, these benefits are, you know, in observational data and, you know, controlled data sets, it's everywhere and nobody's kind of arguing it at this point. So it's, you know, it's massively important to keep those in the back of your mind, you know, on the days that you're not wanting to do cardio or you don't think you need to add it or whatever the case. But I think just to go back a step, what even is cardio? What is cardiovascular training? What is cardiorespiratory training? Again, whatever you want to call it. All it is the ability to sustain an activity at a given pace. And it's this specific type of training that improves our oxygen intake, transport, and then how we utilize the oxygen throughout the body. And so it improves our heart's ability to effectively pump blood through the rest of the body and perfuse. And it also improves the oxygen carrying ability of the blood itself. So it's called cardiovascular training for a very specific reason, as you hear some of those terms.
Really ever thought that through, but actually that makes a lot of sense. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you said say that again, it's the ability to maintain an activity
at a given pace.
At a given pace. So it's not even necessarily running like you're running from a bear. Mm-hmm. It can be a lower pace and it's still beneficial?
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Because in theory, I mean, if we use the fleeing from bears example, which I like, that imagine if you had to do that 10 times.
Right. I would hope I had 9 friends.
Like that.
Slower friends.
Right.
Imagine that level of effort 10 times. You know, like even if you had rest in between the 10 attacks.
Yes.
This is crazy.
But I mean, yes, this is silly.
Just imagine the sheer stress of the training.
Right.
The sheer stress of that moment.
Yeah.
The think about how your legs would feel if you're running up a hill or you're just running as hard as you can.
Right.
But like those efforts, while yes, those intense efforts like that are valuable, they will drive adaptation. They'll help with mitochondrial density and they'll increase the amount of mitochondria that you have available, which is, you know, ultimately the one of the main components of utilizing your fuel sources in your body. So yes, it'll drive all that fancy stuff positively.
Right.
But you have to theoretically plan for the next 10 bear attacks or the next 10 days or the next 10 months or the next 10, whatever. So you do that all the time. My point is that it's very hard to recover from those very intense, difficult bouts. And so by scaling back, so to speak, to these different zones, which we'll talk about, you can realize some of those same benefits if the volume's right, and you can recover, hopefully, and go to work and do the next day and the next day and the next day, so that eventually you've accumulated all of this robust aerobic activity, so that it's not just this, you know, you just blasted yourself 100 times in a row.
And I think that's part of it is that I've always gone 100% and within 30 seconds I'm ready to die. I'm waiting for the bear because I don't want to run anymore. And you're saying that's great, but also there's benefit in doing it at lower levels.
Right.
Okay.